Fast forward, any come our channel so I say GH Politics Avenue. Podcast or say training because making headlines. And a gem rani DB exomo or ha need me on braxim and the AD can say so bit subscribe to the channel. It's a notification bell so share na affairs for front so answer into inkebi. Need you on braximo, young queen simu. Unia na sapon and ne what trend news far so then some okay in an accept. A year Oma alright team answer to me a can womu abo mu kwedu say omu abokrono o mayimu o meja padi biano abani hwe no mfa nsa ento so pending investigations we ni sama hodo ekoso channel no so am no kase beja for atransia wo mu edi hu abobo channel so am say how say GH Politics Avenue unya yenko yensimu
takes me back to 2015 when we had Alhaji Muhammad Imoro and 34 others before the courts.
He was represented by Yoni Kolendi's firm,
well.
And I was also representing some of the people who are accused, about 7 of them.
Similar facts here. Has to do with ghost names.
Yeah.
Has to do with bloating the payroll
system
to benefit some people. Similar. Then it was about 31,000 people on that. Now it's over 80-something thousand, whatever it is. You see, then I asked myself a question. This systemic thing that we're talking about didn't start today. To what end, okay, is this taking us? Yes.
Have you asked yourself what happened to that prosecution?
That's the point. I don't even know how it ended. That is why I brought it up. I am trying to say that, you see, you have a building when you are driving on that lane, you know, around airport side, which we call the National Service. That building itself, I believe when valuers value it, may not get close to the amount of money we're talking about today. You understand? But yet, wait a minute. Yes, sir. Yet we are told such monies belonging to the state goes down the drain. I think it's so sad and it's so pathetic. I am not to hold forth for anybody here. I am always of the view that whoever is culpable, whoever has gone against the laws of Ghana, let the law take its course. That is my personal view. And I'm always by it. You see, but the problem I have is the rhetorics in the system. We talk too much in the name of fighting corruption. And you see, when election presents itself, almost every single political party in this country writes in their manifesto the mechanisms to put in place to fight corruption. And in fact, opponents will even have to go extra mile on their campaign platforms to talk loud about how they're going to fight corruption when it comes. I believe that's what gave birth to oral. Now, if you spoke so much, you pointed, fingers at people, said a lot of things. When you came, indeed, you said you were going to salvage Ghana. And in salvaging Ghana, oral must be put in place. And that is where myself and Oliver agree. If you have told us and convinced me that I am going to fight the rot in the system, then we repose confidence in you. What we expect of you is to indeed walk the talk. Is that what is happening? For me, in my view, no. We have gone for the low-hanging fruits. To say that, okay, some 2 people are put before the court, therefore we are fighting corruption, we are fighting the rot. And then my brother Khalid will tell you that, look, it is a system. Now when you even look at their week, the week is even fading because so much work there. Really?
But they're not doing well.
No, I disagree with you. If you come to mount the platform and virtually do the case in the public space and convince us that this is what it is, I expected even more. In my view, I expected even more. Don't come again with stories. That's why I said we resort to rhetorics instead of actually doing the fight that we're talking about. Why? I heard Domilevo, who was a member of ORA, expressing his disappointment on how they are handling it or how things are going. To the extent that he was even questioning whether the persons involved are also wanting or also have the taste or the appetite to do same. You understand? So to what end or how far are we going to fight corruption with some of this? So let's not come to sit here and speak big English, talk about structures, and then move away from the meat of the matter. The meat of the matter is that, look, money has gone down the drain. If money has gone down the drain, prove to us how you're going to retrieve that money. If you came to meet other cases, which was also corruption-related cases, how well are you going to prosecute? Because government is a continuum. But you do not create an atmosphere where somebody will say somewhere and think there's something called selective application of the laws of the state. In one vein, some misappropriation, 60% should be paid and 40% should go down. In the next one, which of course, which is not within our party, that one we're going to pursue it. And Suleiman Brema put it right. He said, look, it is not even 600 million I'm talking about. We did the investigation. We're talking close to 2 billion Ghana cedis. And we want to sit here and then, you know, create some atmosphere of everything is fine, we are fighting. Look, if you say there's corruption, that's why I said my position is that whoever is culpable and you have evidence to prove, let the person be hauled before the courts of Ghana to answer questions as it were. And Akuffo, who was the president, even said it. No appointee of my good self should run away from accountability. And if you think you are supposed to account to the people, come and then account. And the government in power, if you also think that somebody is indeed wrong, let the law take its course. But I think that there are many who think that, look, people rode on this corruption, you know, escalation, corruption, talks and all that to power, only to come and then when you look at the complex nature of some cases before you, it is difficult to pursue. Is that what it is? If that is what it is, then I'm afraid for Ghana. Because frankly, we will continue on the tangent of talking and talking and talking and getting nothing or arriving at nothing. That is why I mentioned the Mohammed Imoro case. I don't know how it has ended. Yes, we said some money went down and it was still the same national service. Today we have gone again back to the same national service and it still goes names again. And we are here still talking about it and discussing about it. To what end, we don't know yet. But you see, the next issue about this, whether or not a national service personnel can go in for a loan, it is a discretion. Even if my money is 5 cedis and I want to buy a fridge, and then the seller tells me that, look, I can go into a contract with you for you to give me 3 cedis and then keep your 2 cedis, that is your discretion. For me, I don't see how that is legally wrong, in my view. I don't see how that is
legally wrong.
No, yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that
for national service manager to facilitate loans for service personnel.
Something raised the issue about conflict of interest. That's where I will say put with him, and I will agree with him. Where when you are entrusted with a job as an administrator, and then you want to profit from it, that one I have a problem with it. But of course, if there is a genuine company to engage national service personnel, whether they are earning 500 or 100 or 200 cities, and they decided to go on that
outside the
I am saying that if you are with me, I'm just saying that
they can go to the bank and take a loan.
If you are with me, I'm saying that
should not be facilitated.
No, listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are with me, I'm saying the conflict of interest will arise and maybe should, if it's traced to them
it is not about
as a family for what
it's about getting disrupted with the mandate of national service.
Khalid, please.
Check the formation
I was very quiet here when you were making your submission.
You were trying to make it look like we are misleading by saying this.
No, I have not.
We are doing it within managerial mandate.
My good brother. What I'm saying is that every single person with capacity to enter into contract today has the right to purchase whatever he wants to purchase.
If you walk to the bank or the market.
Where I have a problem is where, indeed, we are going to use state machinery. Okay? It happens anyway. When you talk to controller deduct from source people who buy goods.
And they have long service salary.
I'm saying that.
Not 9 months.
Yeah. But I'm saying maybe we'll have to look at the policy. But I'm not in defense of some of these things. What I'm saying here is that if you are supposed to be in a position of trust, and that position ought to be used properly, and then be careful about conflict of interest and be careful about people thinking that you want to outwit people with a position, then of course you should be careful as it were. That's why I said that, look, whoever is culpable, whoever is held, whether yesterday or today, we want the betterment of Ghana. We should not narrow the discourse to what is happening today. We should expand it, and crime has no expiry date.
Correct.
Get anybody who is involved and let us know that that institution is sick. Because whoever came yesterday did same. Whoever is there today is doing same. Let's not narrow the discourse. And then we should move on. But I think that by and large, Samson, again, I am going to reiterate. If you have told us that some $21.9 billion dollars could be retrieved, do you know how much Beit Khalifa's we can build with $21.9 billion? Saudi Arabia wants to build one costing about $5 billion. I believe Ghana would have built about 5 of it or 6 of it.
Is it billion cedis or billion dollars?
Dollars. That's what they said. All right. 21 billion. You're surprised, right?
No, I'm asking.
No, I'm telling you. The oral told Ghanaians that
potential recoveries.
Yes, we can recover close to $21.9 billion.
Right.
And today we are here struggling to even get proper, if you like, charge sheets against people we purport have actually milked the state.
Right.
I think we should do a lot of
let me share a few of the messages from our viewers with you, and then we will take a break. When we return, I'll get a quick... How could the judge see all of this and still grant an ex parte injunction? I was livid. Then we filed the processes and appeared before the court. And I said, well, you can't blame the judge. This is ex parte. They are allowed to do these processes, so they granted. But as we speak now, the entire case was gone once we appeared once. The state's capacity. Yeah. Do you trust that this process will lead us to getting the money?
Well, I mean, why not? Because, I mean, we talk about capacity or logistical constraint when it comes to issues of following the money, right, which is very important conundrum. As an accounting and finance practitioner, having taught even undergraduates who go on to lead in the top 4 accounting firms like KPMG, EY, and the likes, they are taught in ways to trace money to offshore accounts among, other places where money could be hidden. I don't really see it as one of a lack of capacity, but I see it, where do our best and brightest go to? How have we resourced the Attorney General's office such that bright lawyers like Oliver, already graduating from law school, is eyeing to be there to work? Imagine someone the functionality or have the capacity of Oliver as a young, blue-eyed graduate or legal practitioner at the ages, right? But often than not, we want to go into private, we want you to go into corporate practices. So incentive plays a good role here. But to talk about structures, I mean, I was very surprised. I was working abroad before I returned. I tried to open a bank account. I walked into ABSA, said, look, I want a bank account. They said, yeah, fill these forms, blah, blah, blah. I fill the forms. I step out. I get a phone call from ABSA. They said, are you the economic advisor to the vice president? I said, yes. Is there anything wrong? You've been flagged as a PEP. So come and answer some few questions. That is the system working. So it tells you there are structures in place because the system already picked me as a PEP. So it tells you that the traceability element could be there.
And PEP is politically exposed person.
Right? So if that could, within a minute, and this was the first week of my appointment, and the system picked it.
Will they afraid you?
Sorry?
They fear you.
Right, so it makes me, so whatever I'm doing in the setting in of itself, it tells you that, hey, we know you are a politically exposed person, you've opened X account, we see it, we know where you are. So this is what the system does. So we already have the system in place. But now connecting this to the various agencies, Sulemana & Co. are a third-party agency. By third party, I mean the third world, civil society. They may get funding to do extra bits of it. But I must say, I commend their research very well. They got some broken taillights, which is maybe looking at the date of birth, a 90-year-old, and say, oh yeah, I smell rat. I'm going to follow this. This is what investigations does. And that was a very sophisticated way of looking at it. And I really commend them, and I think that they should continue to do more because that's the relevance of the third sector. That said, it's just about incentive and personnel. You look at my elder brother, Dr. Ayene, and my own good friend, Dr. Shremsai. Well-exposed lawyers, they understand what they do, and you see how well, I was teasing Justice that just 9 months, his wig is changing color because of the kind of work that goes into what is being done. Mm-hmm. But the Attorney General's office is heavy. Then you have a sub-agency, which is IOCO. Again, that's something I would advocate, regardless of government or party coloration, that we need to equip more in terms of remuneration, especially because when you have anti-gov agencies, right, their remuneration and conditions of service has a direct correlation to the output they put out there. FIC is doing a fantastic thing. Try to send $10,000 out of this country. FIC would flag it. Where Chumbwafo heads. And he's
Financial Intelligence Center.
It'll be flagged. Right? Try to bring in, there are regulations, very stringent. Right? Sometimes you have your own dollars in the bank, you want to withdraw, and the frustration you even go through, people
but
say...
the former Director General,
yeah,
he was receiving money according to the facts.
Yes.
Through a payment system.
Yes.
as a service personnel.
You see,
for a very long time, and nothing
I'll
flagged
tell
it.
you what. You see, this is where I have issues with these third-party payment platforms. And with the invention of GIF and others, I thought that, look, it's about time we harmonize this. The NSA is a state entity. Bringing private entities to serve as intermediary for payment platform systems, which has become the new procurement normal for people to make money out of the KGL, the SML, assurance issues, are things that the state can do. So imagine they were all going through controller and we have X, even though sometimes we may find ghost names or whatsoever, no system is perfect. Or they were going through a state functional system. That is where you have state entities having a connect with all of this.
You said things the state can do.
Yeah.
But your state has proven over decades that the state is unable, is incapable of managing very, simple businesses. So it is the private sector that comes in, and then suddenly we begin to see that this is a cash cow.
No, Samson, but ballpark, we can do a cost-benefit analysis of the involvement of the private sector in revenue assurance or revenue generation and see whether we've actually made some profits out of it as a state, or we've just given something to a crony or a friend.
What we see are institutions that were debt-ridden. You see, institutions that could not pay salaries,
yes,
that could not even afford vehicles.
Yeah.
And then the private institutions come in, join hands with them, and suddenly they are putting up,
I think that's the picture
edifices that befits,
that's the picture we are painting.
offices.
And I'll make another example and commend an institution, a state institution. So they don't need any document from me. They just needed my Ghana card number. And within minutes, I got a SNIT number. Then I went to GRE. I'm using my own example and Janie to tell you that we have the institutions. GRE tells me they are doing worldwide tax because I needed a tax certificate. So they need to trace any money even internationally. And they could do. They could do it.
But all these institutions were enabled by private parties.
You see, when you say enabled
at SNIT, at GRA, the private partners were the ones.
Yeah, of course, we are not enemies to the private sector. They must exist. Even we bring the big four accounting firms. No one is against anybody because they work in consonance with each other. So, but what we are invariably saying here is this: the cost to which we bring the private sector, especially. Right. I'm more concerned about these revenue assurance platforms.
Okay.
Talk about the marketplace platform, for example, for NSA. What did it yield? Right? Could the state not have done that? Could controller probably not have handled it? Then they know this really comes from that. That's a huge, look, we're talking about 500 to 600 million here. That's roughly, if you depend on the exchange rate, we're talking about $50 to $60 million. We're receiving IMF tranches in bits. Imagine what that could do to augment. In terms of that, Oliver makes a fundamental point. Where do the money go? Lifestyle audit. Very important. Before this, I worked in an agency where I received a gift of more than £50 I have to declare. At the presidency today, as we speak, as part of the ministerial conduct, if you get a gift more than 20K or 20,000 Ghana cedis, you've had to declare it. So these are measures the government is embracing. I understand, as you lawyers would say, that the wheel of justice grinds slowly, right? I can understand Oliver's or appreciate Oliver's ability to put our feet to the fire, but I hope that he also appreciates that some of these things have processes one ought to go in due diligence. He's just made an example of a criminal case where he thinks a guy should even sue the state, right? Of how he was wrongly probably taken through the process. These are some of the things that ought to be avoided when one is dealing with the state. So being a private lawyer and working for the state are two different things altogether, because the cost at which the state make mistakes when it comes to legality, right? It's even a huge wage bill in and of itself, and also has social implications. So I think that moving forward, there's a lot we can do, but Sule and his team are doing a fantastic job. We need them. We need people like Oliver to put our feet to the fire as far as oral is concerned. But Oliver, oral will deliver, and oral is not a machine that has been set out to really go after people without doing the due diligence. When we came into power, President Mahama quickly appointed a committee that included a former Auditor General, a former investigative journalist, all of whom brought their skill together, right? Handed over a report. The report is there. It's been submitted to the Attorney General, and the AG is going after. This falls under one of the umbrellas. So it's not that we can simultaneously execute these and come to drop indictment at the same time. They take a process, and it's a piecemeal. So we are assuring the good people of Ghana, giving us a 4-year mandate. I believe in the efficacies and competent skills of Justice Sremsai and my own elder brother, Dr. Ayine, to do a fantastic job at this. Right. So we give you the assurance.
You mentioned the...
Fast forward, you come out our channel, so I say AGH Politics Avenue. Podcast also training because make headlines. Ne jemre na EDB Akroma ewa hasi. Any demoni ahun braxi must say ene. Fast forward.